Okay, great.
Awesome.
All right, where's the rest of the team? You all here?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So,
We'll start by introducing ourselves.
hi, we're your team. I'm Anita.
Ayumi.
Yeah.
I'm Timur.
I'm JP. I'm Jack.
So, you probably know more about this than we do, but this is just a little background and why we chose to focus on Puno specifically. So, the middle of Peru is covered by the Andes, and Puno falls in this region as well. Puno is a lesser known region. It is, especially compared to its northern neighbor Cusco, but it still has Lake Titicaca. And it also has many of the harsh weather conditions you'd expect in such a mountain climate. It's got an average elevation of 5,000 meters, and the average wind speeds are around 19 to 28 kilometers per hour. And the temperatures are in a large range. They can be from below freezing to around 13 Celsius. And in Puno, the indigenous people, such as the Quechua and the Aymara, are the majority of the population. And unfortunately, there's a correlation between the indigenous people percentage of the population and the poverty rate. And this can be seen in Puno's 61% poverty rate. So we chose to focus on Sunimarca in the Melgar province because this is a town you have already worked with. And we hope that other villages throughout Puno will be able to resolve their issues similarly if this works. So Sunimarca has around 70 people, so it's rather small, but it has businesses like a cheese and textiles factory. And at the geographical center of the village is the primary school. And the locals value Aini, which is community and cooperation, and they want to work for the greater good and for the common cause.
So when we first started working with you, Anna, you briefed upon some of the problems that you wanted us to touch upon, and then we also, through our research, we also found, we delved deeper into the problems they have in their region. And for the people that don't know, because we are, so basically they have a hard time living through the winters just due to how their infrastructure lies. They don't have the resources and infrastructure to survive the harsh winters up in the Andes Mountains. Their small village and community is self-sustaining in the summer, and they raise their cattle and grow their food no problem until the winter hits. With this also comes the people dying of pneumonia. These small communities, like Sunimarca, are isolated and have a hard time getting help from the larger cities. Those larger cities are also attracting the younger generations of this community instead of them being inspired to stay and help their people. Another big problem they have for the kids in the region are getting to school in the winters because of how cold they are. Basically, this slide is our mission and for this project, which is to solve the issues within the community's infrastructure, especially within the school and the community center. We wanted to create a multi-purpose education center that everyone in Sunimarca can use to learn ways to live throughout the year and sustain education throughout the winter.
All right, here are some of the physical solutions we thought of, trying to come up with. First off, we're planning to join both the community center and the school into an education center in order to establish an easily accessible central building for most of the village's needs. Then we wanted to implement a wind turbine and power station for the education center to provide heat for the whole building, and as well as electricity for cooking appliances and computers. We're also thinking of adding a greenhouse into Sunimarca that can survive the harsh winters and provide all of their agricultural needs. And lastly, in order for us to implement internet into their system, we were thinking of setting up, this is just like a theory, satellite internet for a computer station. And then, why these? The Andean winds are optimal for the turbine, so they can provide a strong, reliable, and continuous power source for the center, generating more than enough power for it and other necessities. With this reliable power source, we would be able to provide heat for the building during the winters, preserve the food, and allow for them to access their computers. The location of the education center also plays a huge role in the stability of SUNY Marca. Since it's centrally located in the village, it will be relatively easier to access in the winter. Then the greenhouse will create a continuous warm environment, fulfilling most of the agricultural necessities of the village year-round.
And this slide, as the title implies, is just talking about how the actual turbine works. And you'll be able to take a look into it as well. But basically, they operate on a simple principle, and it is an effective way to create energy. The wind turns the propeller-like blades around a rotor that is connected to the main shaft that spins a generator in order to create electricity. The generator is what provides the actual electricity to the education center. And one thing we want to make sure of is that the building itself will be insulated enough that once the heat is pumped in, then it'll be able to retain heat.
So we also wanted to show you the applications of all these facilities. So for example, we would want, for the greenhouse, and also if we wanted to just bring in some freezers and fridges for them to use to keep their food fresh, we would want to also give some agriculture and preservation classes. And then with the wind turbine, that could be a huge educational resource. So we want to show like earth science, like say meteorology, how the wind works, and also physics classes, like basic to show how the electricity works and how the physics works with how it all operates.
Since 2001, Uniqlo has collected used clothing and recycled them to give to people in need around the world. Having Uniqlo's winter clothing will allow the locals to walk around the community safely and do work outside during the winter, keeping them warm and reducing the risk of pneumonia.
We also, along with having clothing that'll make work outside safer in the winter, we also want to partner with portable heater startups and drug companies like Johnson & Johnson to offer portable heaters and pneumonia medication, because that'll also solve some of the other problems we have dealt with throughout the winter, such as the fact that the houses are cold and that people are suffering from pneumonia. And the reason we wanted to implement the computer station is that for the winter, if teachers cannot get to SUNY Marca very easily, they can teach remotely, such through mechanisms like Skype. And also, it'll allow the artisans, like the people that work in the cheese factory and the textile factory, to reach out to the vendors in the cities, so that way there's a little bit of income coming into SUNY Marca. And we also want to provide accommodations for teachers who cannot return home but still want to be there to teach physically, and also potential students and researchers who might want to visit and help out in the community. So as I mentioned, we would want accommodations for university students and researchers, because there are a lot of universities that have Andean and Quechuan studies departments, such as UPenn and NYU. And the people who come to do study abroad or work there can be trained on how to help develop SUNY Marca, while they can also study and research in the area. And it'll be good because they're learning Quechuan and they'll know the language and how to communicate with people. And we also want to get the people who are leaving SUNY Marca to come back, if they can help and give the skills that they've learned in the cities, so that they can help improve their community. And the thing is that it'll be personal for them, and they'll know all the nuances of the community, so that they'll be the most suited for improvement of it. And also, if the computer system is successful, the internet would allow people in SUNY Marca to get in touch with members of Reset at the architecture firm, also doctors and electricians if they need help with health and the turbine, respectively.
So our idea is that SUNY Marca will be used as an example for other villages like them towards wind turbines being a viable option. We want to start SUNY Marca with a 10 kilowatt wind turbine, and that will be enough to provide them power, while at the same time creating enough energy that hopefully the energy companies can sell the excess in order to make some money back. And as you see up there, we were told that Reset has already created some greenhouses for houses.
Yeah, so you might be able to help create a bigger one for the education center.
And how will we fund this?
Right.
We came up with an idea to fund this wind turbine solution. And we would like to invite an energy company from Peru, like Eleanor or Edelgel, which are one of the biggest energy companies from Peru, to join the project by installing the wind turbine. And the wind turbine will create enough energy for the village, and it will also have some extra energy that the energy company could then sell to major cities or maybe government, and long time they will be able to create profit from the sales. However, the turbine is cheap enough, so if we don't get energy company to install it, we could somehow do it ourselves. And yeah,
Okay.
we are happy to answer any of your questions.
Thanks.
Well, thank you guys. First of all, congratulations. I think it's a very, very interesting approach that you've done, and also it's the complete circle I was expecting. It's a very eye-opening view of how to address this problem in a very innovative way. Yes, I have definitely a few questions. I'm very interested in this science and tech approach in renewable energies for the community. I think that's a great field to explore, given all the conditions and all the primary resources and energy possible to get in the community. So for instance, if this plan of implementing wind turbines goes ahead, which exactly will be the role of the community in running this project, and what kind of ownership could the community have over this, taking in consideration it's basically its land in which this project is going to be implemented. Are they going to have any technical assistance in implementation and monitoring, or what are your thoughts on how this could be long term?
Well, so we're thinking that implementing this in Sunimarca, it would be an example, and we'll see how the community responds to it. And if they do respond well, then we're thinking moving forward, then it could be a great option for other communities in the Peruvian highlands like Sunimarca.
And that and also to get it going, it would be useful, or I guess having the university students would be useful because they could consult maybe physicists and electricians within their university to talk about how to work with the wind turbine and how to get it running. And also, if some of the people that are leaving Sunimarca, like the younger generations who want better work, if they know any, if they have electrical expertise, they could come back and try and help people and explain it in a way that would work for the community. And then having those classes, say that we mentioned, that are related to the turbine, then kids might be interested in learning about it and might want to help with maintenance and learning how it operates.
So it's basically like a long-term partnership we could set with imaging communities and the universities. Okay, that's a great idea. So my other thoughts are that if this system is implemented, it's definitely a huge inversion for a very low-income community. In which ways do you think more people could be benefit from the infrastructure placed in Sunimarca only? Do you think maybe kids from other communities could move to Sunimarca temporarily or by some months to learn about this? Or I don't know, what are your thoughts?
Well, yes. So basically, the community center and school that would happen and be powered by the wind turbines, that would be a very welcoming place for everyone. And I'm assuming that the surrounding communities, would also be able to benefit from it. And and we're thinking that that space will also be able to provide to them food preservation methods such as freezers And so over the winters, they can come there and be provided with the food that needed to survive through the winter, as well as the greenhouses that they can continue growing stuff over the winter.
Because Sunemark is like a very small community, I think 70 people to 100. How many turbines would we need to live?
Just,
I think
just
one.
To some extent,
Yeah,
just one.
I think because that'll power enough of the needs, and we also consider the fact that the indigenous peoples of Peru are very big on like the being connected to nature, and we didn't want. And there's been plenty of complaints about like wind turbines being very environmentally disruptive, so we figure just having one is like enough. And then if they warm up to the idea more, maybe we can add a second, but there really isn't a need for it.
Yeah, so perhaps in the future, as they grow as a village and community, the one wind turbine, they might find that they want more energy, more power to power the homes and in the village. So that would be a great option. It'll be easy for them to because they're already warm to the idea of the wind turbine, to maybe install another 10 kilowatt wind turbine to provide more power for the actual homes in the villages, instead of just the community center and school.
Yeah, the first one should keep them going for a while though, like if they really need to ramp up the energy needs.
Another topic you mentioned was basically the brain drain from the community. How do you think like this project can actually engage youth from Tunimarca from not going away? Is there any like very clear example you could depict?
Okay, so I guess a way to keep the people that are leaving back in work. So I guess having the computers in the education center could be useful for doing remote work. If they still want to do work for the cities, but they can do it from further away. And having the new technology in Sunimarca will give them opportunities to work within it, because they'll have the expertise from, say, if they went to go outside and do schooling, or if they were already doing like vocational work. Any examples of like that, maybe?
Think about them.
Okay.
Oh yeah, like online, yeah, like for the people who show a lot of potential, they could take online courses, that could be useful.
To help improve the schools.
Yeah.
And help them teach the students.
Okay. My perception of this is basically all the strategies you are thinking about work very well as a system if you think them about them integrated. However, in Peru, like things tend to go very slow. Do you think your project would still work if it's implemented by stages, or do you think it's necessary like just to like get a one single huge budget and try to implement everything at the same time?
I think
Definitely stages. Not definitely, but I feel most like stages, because we don't want to put on like too much of a cultural change for them immediately.
Yeah.
And just slowly ease into it, see how they like feel about it, how they like what their opinions are on it, and go on from there.
I think we want to address the turbine and the heating issues first, and then the other things we mentioned, like the greenhouse and the satellite internet, those were just like other expansions of it, but those are probably much of a lesser priority.
It's great. I don't really have any other questions so far. I think it's a very good approach. I'm super happy to hear like how you actually address this problem and you're thinking this progressively. I don't know if you have like questions to me, or you would like to give you some feedback from any other point of view.
I think we're okay.
Yeah.
I
I guess like my one concern would just be like, do you think this would be like a bit jarring, like culturally, like, because we really want to make sure that the culture is still preserved. That's why we thought like the energy needs would be very low, like just for maybe the heating, and powering like the freezers and the fridges, and then also for the internet, like a little bit? Like, we were wondering, do you think that would be too jarring to change, or do you think that'll be like good?
Not really. In my experience, actually, many communities are looking forward to working with people external from their community.
Okay. That's
They're very actually open-minded. Yes, they are very attached to the roots, but that doesn't mean that they are open to receive information or training or any kind of infrastructure that can help us live better.
Yeah, good. We just don't want to force anything on them.
No, it's great, and especially if you're like targeting this educational point of view, it's even better because education is related to children, and basically their main motto is the general population. That can make you like say yes to any decision. Doesn't say yes. Yeah, congratulations again for the great job.